Hi, I'm Ashley, self-proclaimed resources nerd and staff member at Futures Northwest. Today's guest is the wonderful Monique Stefens from Whatcom Community College to talk about accessing food benefit-related support. Monique will be answering questions about how to navigate these systems and get fantastic support. Welcome, Monique. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Ashley. Thanks so much for having me. I'm a big advocate of people getting support.
First off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the BFET program?
Yeah, absolutely. I started being involved with basic food employment and training, otherwise known as BFET, at Whatcom Community College. And I quickly came to realize what a fantastic program it is, in that people who would otherwise be eligible for basic food benefits, but might not be because they're going to school, for example, by participating in a BFET program at a school, they can still get their food benefits. And so I think it's important that learners have access to basic food. The other thing about basic food benefits is that when you get them and you enroll in the BFET program, like at a college like mine, you would be able to get tuition support and textbook support if you're eligible for that and have gaps in your funding. So, and each school is a little different, but yeah, I just became very enamored of the BFET program.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Okay, so next question, how might someone access a BFET program?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, so there's kind of a funny chicken and egg thing with accessing a BFET program. Sometimes you go to DSHS and apply for basic food benefits, otherwise known as SNAP or EBT, and they tell you you're financially eligible, but you need to be in a BFET program. So then you go to the BFET program and we give you a referral letter. Sometimes you go to a BFET program and say, I'd like to be eligible for basic food. And we say, okay, you're programmatically eligible, but you'll need to be applying to DSHS. So there's a little tiny bit of that kind of funny entrance point where both halves need to connect. Some people are eligible for basic food without being in a BFET program. It's a lot easier for them. But either way, any BFET provider can help you make sure that you get that access to those benefits.
Awesome. And it sounds like connecting with someone would be maybe the best way to navigate that.
Yeah. So we can make sure to walk you through the different steps you might be going through in applying for basic food, otherwise known as SNAP or EBT. Yeah.
Now, if I were to look at the options, how would I know which program to choose?
Yeah, so what's amazing about BFET programs is that they are at all of the community and technical colleges in Washington State. So if you're interested in going back to school or finishing up school, whether it's working on a high school diploma or the GED, building your English language learner skills, or it's for a certificate or a vocational or professional technical degree, then you would go to one of the colleges. Yeah. If you say, well, I'm not quite ready to go back to school, what I'd really like is support with getting a job and figuring out what I want to do, or just, getting a little bit more income into my household. Well, then there's BFET programs at Goodwill Learning Center. So that's that retail store that everybody goes into, and you don't even realize there's a whole education and training center in the back. And then there's also BFET at Opportunity Council. So it's like, wow, I really need some support re-entering the work world. Maybe it's been a while, or I've had some struggles with employment. Opportunity Council can help build your skills and also provide things like interview clothes and maybe help with some licensing costs. Everything varies depending on funding. So I'm giving some examples with hoping that the listener will know that you need to ask your specific BFET provider. There's also BFET at WorkSource through the Employment Security Department. And that leads me to another program that's at WorkSource that we'll talk about in a little bit. But the idea is, if you'd like help with education, training, or employment, a BFET provider is probably going to be a fantastic ally for you.
Thank you. Are there other resources you recommend that folks check out?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that WorkSource has a BFET provider. They also have a program internal to them that distributes something called WIOA funds, which is WIOA. That's a federal program. And what the WIOA funds do is they have target groups that they understand are otherwise marginalized or oppressed by our systems. And so similar to BFET, they'll come alongside somebody who could use just a little extra boost because of their situation or demographics. And with WIOA funds, if you're a youth age 16 to 24, typically, you might benefit from WIOA funding, or somebody who's over 55 years old who still is seeking employment or school. And if you've been in the work world, but you're low income, you're on basic food, and we just call that an adult, you might benefit from WIOA funding. Or if you have been in a high demand organization that has recently laid off many or all of its employees. So if you were interested in that similar education and training program, you would ask WorkSource not only for their BFET provider, but also say, I'd love to know more about any WIOA support I could have, WIOA.
Nice. Thank you. That's such a beautiful tip in addition to what you've already shared. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with us today that we haven't gone over?
Yeah, so I think the thing that I've enjoyed so much about being part of workforce development is realizing what an amazing system it is and how much support there is for employers and employees. And so if you're a job seeker, whether it's you're a student who wants to build skills or you're actively in the job market, it's tough. It's hard to apply for jobs. It's hard to be rejected. It's hard to know if they even got your materials many of the times. So walking into like a WorkSource or a BFET provider in your community can be a really great way to say, like, am I doing this right? Can you tell me if there's a way that I could do this more effectively, or am I applying for the right jobs? So I just wish that I had known about it years ago. And then same thing with employers. They're looking for the right employees, and so reaching out to some of these providers and being a partner agency with them and saying, hey, I'd really like to give folks an opportunity. Yeah. So it's great to get help, and BFET providers are really skilled at knowing where you might need that support. Is it that you don't really know yet how to write a really effective cover letter, or is your resume needs some support, or have you never made either of those and you need to start from scratch? Yeah. There's people who really love to help, and a lot of programs to do it.
Oh, thank you so much. This was highly informative and awesome resources. We appreciate you sharing all of that with us today. And for more details and information on what we discussed, if you want to access any of the links that were mentioned, check out the show notes section of this page, or you can go on to DSHS BFET page and look up the list of providers listed there. As always,
my colleagues.
Yeah, go ahead.
Great. I said they're my colleagues and they're great. Just there's a lot of BFET providers that I have a lot of respect for.
It sounds like a really wonderful community of people.
Yes, it is. And thank you so much for giving me the time to talk about it.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. And as always, remember to subscribe to this channel for more resources and information in taking your next step in life with confidence. If you want additional resources, you can always check out our website at FuturesNW.org. Thanks for watching. Bye.